Hello dear students, welcome to Department of Chemistry, KTHM College, Nasik. So friends, in our previous lecture, we started our discussion about the second chapter, Atmosphere and Air Pollution. In a previous lecture, we studied the structure of atmosphere. The atmosphere is classified into four different regions, troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere and thermosphere. Along with that, we studied the various chemical and photochemical reaction takes place in a various region of atmosphere. We also studied the various chemical species occur in a different altitudes of the atmosphere. Now in the present lecture, we are going to discuss about the chemicals and photochemical reaction takes place in the atmosphere. We will start with the evolution as well as the origin from the origin of the earth. Actually, the estimated age of the earth is found to be 4.5 billion year. The estimated age of earth is 4.5 billion years. The present atmosphere is the result of various volcanic activities and chemical as well as biological evolution. The present atmosphere is the result of various volcanic activities as well as chemical and biological evolution. In the initial stage of the atmosphere, certain gases was present. We call it as a reducer gases, such as methane gas, ammonia gas, water in the form of gas. We call it as a water vapor. So in the initial stage, reducer gases was present. Reducer gases such as methane gas, ammonia gas, and water in the form of a gas. When these gases undergoes a further chemical and photochemical changes or photochemical reactions, there is evolution in the atmosphere, and finally after very prolonged time and prolonged years, we reach to the current atmosphere. This evolution has a different stages. So we will discuss all the stages of evolution one by one. So in the first stage of evolution, we call it as a primitive stage of evolution. The first one is a primitive stage of evolution. Primitive stage of evolution. Actually, the primitive stage of evolution is about 0.5 million years of earth formation. It is about 0.5 million years of earth formation. Obviously, as far as the discussion, initially only certain gases, reducer gases, methane, ammonia and water is present. So this stage of evolution involves the reaction of methane, ammonia and water, and the energy for this reaction is provided by ultraviolet radiations, second is by lightning, and third is by radionucleotide. The reactions involving methane, ammonia and H2O. And how this reaction carried out? By the energy provided by UV light, ultraviolet light, we call it as lightning, and third important source is the radionuclides. In these reactions, the ammonia is converted into the nitrogen gas and hydrogen gas. So 2 moles, 3 moles. Secondly, the H2O, water we called, gets converted into the O2 and H2. We'll take 2 moles, 1 mole. And the methane, upon combination with oxygen, gets converted into the carbon dioxide and water. So the 2 moles of water will be there, and we will use a 2 moles of oxygen here. So from this reaction, it is concluded that in this stage of evolution, the ammonia, water and methane is converted into the corresponding nitrogen, oxygen and carbon dioxide gases. And obviously, it was the primitive stage. In this primitive stage, actually, synthesis of nitrogen and oxygen, even along with the carbon dioxide, takes place in the atmosphere. It was an account about the first stage of evolution. We call it as a primitive stage of evolution. Now in the second stage of evolution, the second stage of evolution ranges from 0.5 to 2.5 billion years from the formation of Earth. In this stage of evolution, chemical evolution takes place. It means that in this stage, the important chemical reaction takes place which leads to formation of oxygen in the atmosphere, and obviously it leads the formation of first living organism on the earth. It involves the reaction which leads to formation of first living organism Obviously, this formation of a living organism is an anaerobic formation. We call it as an anaerobic formation or anaerobic organism. Afterward, the anaerobic organism is evolved into the photosynthetic organism. Afterward, they are evolved into the photosynthetic organism. And we know that the photosynthetic organism produces their own food material. And the reaction is simple one: carbon dioxide plus H2O along with the heat energy from the sun radiations. It forms their carbohydrate CH2O. We call it as a food material. It will be the N times. And in this reaction, oxygen is liberated. N number of oxygen. We will use N number of carbon dioxide. So it was an important chemical reaction takes place in the second stage of evolution. And therefore, we call it as a chemical stage of evolution because it leads to formation of anaerobic organism. This anaerobic organism then evolved into the photosynthetic organism. We call it as a photochemical organisms also. And these photochemical organism produces their own food material with the help of carbon dioxide and water and by using a catalyst HNO. So in this reaction, the oxygen is liberated. No doubt, whatever the oxygen is liberated over here is utilized for the conversion of soluble iron second into the Fe2O3. The oxygen liberated here is utilized for the conversion of Fe second into the Fe2O3. Obviously, whatever the oxygen liberated over here is utilized for this conversion, and therefore the percentage of oxygen in the atmosphere will be the low. My intention is to tell you that even in this stage of evolution also, oxygen was the minor component of the atmosphere. Oxygen was the minor component. O2 was minor component. O2 was minor component. Now, Next to that, when the oxygen is utilized for the conversion of Fe second to Fe2O3, whatever the oxygen left in the atmosphere is also utilized for the other activities. For example, it can be utilized for the oxidation of methane, for the oxidation of ammonia, for the oxidation of water. Methane upon oxidation, we will give a corresponding carbon dioxide. Ammonia upon oxidation gives a corresponding nitrogen gas, and the water upon oxidation gives a corresponding hydrogen gas. So my intention is that during this process, whatever the oxygen is liberated is partly utilized for the conversion of Fe second to Fe2O3, which is an insoluble one, and the rest of the oxygen is utilized for the oxidation of methane, ammonia and water into the carbon dioxide, nitrogen and hydrogen. Now next to that, the important stage is that in this evolution stage, there is a formation of proteins, and whatever the protein formed here acts as an enzyme for the oxygen transport from their origin, and it is the most important evolution in the atmosphere, because the need of living things on the earth is the presence of oxygen, and that role is done by the protein. So the oxygen in this evolution stage is transported by the proteins from their source of evolution. Now the third stage of evolution. Third stage of evolution. The third stage of evolution ranges from 2.5 to 4 billion years. 2.5 to 4 billion years of earth formation. In this stage of evolution, large amount of oxygen is formed. The part of the oxygen is again utilized for the conversion of rest of the Fe second to corresponding insoluble Fe2O3. Part of the oxygen is utilized for the conversion of Fe second to insoluble Fe2O3, and in this stage the atmosphere contains nitrogen gas, oxygen gas, carbon dioxide and H2O. Towards the end of this third stage of evolution, there is a formation of ozone by the absorption of radiation by oxygen atom. When the oxygen absorbs a ultraviolet radiation, it gets splitted into the two nascent oxygen atom. When the oxygen absorbs the ultraviolet radiation, the oxygen gets splitted into the two oxygen atom. We will call it as a nascent oxygen. This nascent oxygen combines with the oxygen in presence of a third body, gets converted into the ozone. Obviously, during this reaction, an energetic particle is formed, that is the third body is formed. So this is an important reaction, that is the formation of ozone that takes place in the third stage of evolution. Obviously, we know the role of ozone. The ozone traps the hazardous ultraviolet radiation coming from the sunlight, and obviously due to the formation of ozone layer, the earth becomes a more and more hospitable for the life of a living organism. Due to that, the earth becomes more hospitable for life. It becomes a more hospitable for life. So friends, it was an account about the various chemical and photochemical a reaction takes place in the atmosphere. Next to that, we have to discuss about the Earth radiation balance. Whatever the radiation coming from the sunlight, they are balanced on the Earth's surface in order to maintain their temperature. So we will discuss about the Earth radiation balance. Now Earth radiation balance. Earth radiation balance. Earth is said to maintain a high degree of order, low entropy, and optimum climatic condition which support the life. High degree of order, low entropy, and optimum climatic condition which support life. The high degree of order, low entropy, and optimum climatic condition which support life is maintained by Earth, and this is only due to the reason of radiation balance. In fact, Earth receives very large amount of heat energy from the sunlight, and it emit or radiate the equivalent amount of energy to the atmosphere also. There is a proper mechanism, the proper balance of the radiation by the Earth's surface. If you think the total amount of energy, that is the solar flux incident on the Earth's surface, about 66% of incident solar flux is used to rise the temperature of land, water, air, and even for the various processes, that is the chemical processes, physical processes, and even biological processes. 66%, about 66% solar flux incident on the Earth is utilized to increase the temperature of land, water, and airs, and also for various processes. For example, chemical process, physical processes, biological processes, etc., etc. And the 34% of the incidental solar flux are reflected by the surface, that is the Earth's surface, and the scattered from the particles. 34% of solar flux is scattered by Earth's surface, and transmitted, or we call it as scattered, by the particles. The scattered and the reflected portion of the radiations is known as albedo. The reflected and scattered portion of the radiation is known as albedo. Actually, if you think the radiations coming from the solar, we call it as a solar flux, and the radiation emitted or radiated by earth, the wavelength has a huge difference. The solar flux probably belongs to the visible region. Solar flux belong to the visible region having a wavelength approximately 300 to 700 nanometer, while the radiant energy radiated by the earth belonging to the IR region. Radiation from earth belongs to the IR region and having a wavelength approximately or around the 10,000 nanometer. These radiations of the radiations from the surface of earth is done by different ways. Different stages are there. The first important is reflection from earth surface. Reflection from earth surface. In fact, we are discussing about the mechanism of radiation by earth. As far as the discussion, I told you that the solar flux means solar energy belongs to the visible region having a wavelength approximately 300 to 700 nanometer, and whatever the energy radiated by the earth belong to the IR region and having a wavelength approximately 10,000 nanometer. This radiation from the earth is done by various ways, or you can say the different stages are there. The first way is the reflection from the earth surface. The second way of radiation from the earth surface is the transmission from earth to the cloud. Transmission from earth surface to the clouds. And obviously, once the radiation or the energy goes to the cloud, again it will be reflected or they will be radiated to the outer sphere. And therefore, third mechanism is radiation by cloud to the outer sphere. Radiation by clouds to the outer spheres. So these are the three different ways by which earth radiate energy. The another phenomenon which is a very important one, which belongs to the earth radiation balance, is the greenhouse effect. Whatever the radiation is radiated by the earth is absorbed by the certain gases from the atmosphere, more preferentially carbon dioxide and water molecules. When these radiations are absorbed by these gases, they will again get scattered and they will warm up the upper layer, or you can say the closed layer of the earth, and obviously the temperature of earth will rises up. These gases, carbon dioxide and water in the form of water vapor, are known as greenhouse gases, and this greenhouse effect also help to maintain the temperature, that is the average temperature of atmosphere, around the 15 degrees Celsius. But whatever we discuss over here about the earth radiation balance, there are many more human activities which causes a adverse effect or causes a interference in the earth radiation balance. The most important reason is the deforestation. Due to the deforestation, there is a trouble to maintain the earth radiations, and consequently temperature start to rise. The second one is the depletion of the soil. The third important reason is the agricultural as well as the industrial development. Because the agricultural and industrial development releases a large amount of particles, or you can say the gases in the atmosphere. These gases act as an greenhouse gases. They absorb the radiations or heat energy radiated by the earth, and obviously temperature start to rise. So they causes a influence on the radiation balance of the earth, and obviously temperature start to rise. And therefore, to find out the influences of human activities on the earth radiation balance is the part of discussion now. So in the next session we have to discuss about the characteristic of atmospheric chemical reaction, or you can say the significance of atmospheric chemical reaction. Very important thing is that whatever we discuss over here, the various chemical and photochemical reaction of the atmosphere, we observe that these photochemical reactions are low concentration reaction and low pressure reactions, and therefore it is very tedious to examine or to evaluate these chemical reactions due to their very low pressure and very low concentrations. The second important significance is that it is very difficult to evaluate the chemical and photochemical reaction taking place in the atmosphere at a very high altitude. For example, we studied the various chemical reaction taking place in the mesosphere and even in the thermosphere, more particularly in the ionosphere. There was a photoionization. We people are unable to examine that reaction due to the very high altitude. So it was an important significance of the chemical and photochemical reaction taking place. What was the important significance, important characteristic? It was the low concentration reaction. Second one, low pressure reaction, and therefore difficult to evaluate, difficult to monitor the reaction. Second problem is about the altitudes. Due to the high altitude, we are unable to monitor this reaction. So friends, in this lecture we will stop here. In our next lecture, we will continue with the various important pollutants present in the atmosphere. Thank you.